Welcome. This is another Khan Academy support video. Specifically, we're going to be taking a look at the third assignment for this week. It's the one that's called Slope-Intercept Intro. And as that loads up, I'm going to make the whiteboard a little bit larger. Slope-Intercept Form, or Slope-Intercept Intro as this assignment is called, refers to a specific way to write linear equations. The last week we've started to work with equations that have two variables in them, a y and an x. And if you write your equation solved for y, if you build it in this y equals form, we can write it in the form y equals m multiplied with x plus b. Every linear equation, every y and x equation that has a straight line graph can be written in this form y equals mx plus b, and the m and the b refer to two specific values about our equation. The m will always represent the slope, and the b will always represent the y-intercept. And we like this type of equation, this form of a linear equation, because it makes it easy to identify the slope and the y-intercept right away. And if you know the slope and the y-intercept, you can easily build a graph and you can work with the equation and a lot of other nice things. So here, our first question, and give me a second to zoom in, it says, what is the slope of y equals 5x minus 1? So I'm going to refer back to this whiteboard for a second. Let me make it a little larger. It says y equals mx plus b. So remember, if it's solved for y, built in this y equals form, whatever number is multiplied with x, the coefficient of x is going to be the slope. And whatever number is added or subtracted all by itself, the b will represent the y-intercept. In this case here, they are asking us to find the slope for that problem. And so if they're asking us to find the slope, I need to find the number that is multiplied with x. Or in this case, the 5 that I'm underlining in red here is multiplied with x. And since it's in this y equals mx plus b form, I know the 5 represents the slope. For our next question, they say, what is the y-intercept of y equals negative 3x? And then for the y-intercepts, they list a bunch of ordered pairs. So there's a few things we should go over about the y-intercept. The y-intercept, as you recall, we worked it, is representing really the value for y when x is equal to 0. So if I'm looking at the bottom of this whiteboard, b, or the y-intercept, is really what is the value for y when x is equal to 0. So based on that, right away, when I take a look at this, I know that a and b are out because they don't represent y-intercepts. They don't have an x value of 0. When I take a look at this equation, I see that the b is effectively missing. It says y equals negative 3x. What I'm underlining here is really the mx. And what they didn't write is the plus 0. If you take a look at my whiteboard, this equation is really saying y equals negative 3x plus 0. It's a proportional relationship, so the y-intercept is 0. It starts right at the origin, and that's how I know that D is the correct answer for this problem. So again, the y-intercept is going to be the plus b. If you just see a y equals mx, or a proportional equation, that means it starts at the origin and the y-intercept is 0, and we don't have to write that plus 0. For our next equation, now they're getting a little tougher. They say complete the equation of the line whose y-intercept is 0 and 6 and whose slope is 3. So for this, I'm going to use my whiteboard for a second to think through this. Any equation, if I want to write the equation of a line, it can always be in the form y equals mx plus b, or slope-intercept form. And for this, the m gets replaced with slope and the b gets replaced with y-intercept. So here, our slope for this line is 3. So I'm going to plug a 3 in for my m. Now the coefficient of x, or the number multiplied with x, the slope is 3. And the y-intercept, the plus b, in this case, if the y-intercept goes through 0 and 6, that means a plus 6 for the y-intercept, or the b. So that's how I get to y equals 3x plus 6. Part of what we love about slope-intercept form, once you know the slope and the y-intercept of your line, you can quickly write an equation to match it. For our final question here, they ask us to find the y-intercept of y equals negative 3x minus 2. So the equation, I'll go ahead and copy it on my whiteboard. Actually, we'll just go ahead and analyze it. I see the negative 2 right here, which I'm going to put a kind of red box around. Oh. Looks like that's not working. I see this negative 2 right here that I've highlighted is the b. It's not multiplied with x, it's all by itself. In this y equals mx plus b form, the negative 2 represents the b. And I also need to recall for y intercepts the b, it really says what is the y value when x is 0. So here, this has that negative 2, but it's actually showing me an x-intercept. This one here, c, is a distractor. I actually want b. 0 for x and negative 2 for y. One last way to understand that, if I took a 0 and plugged it in for this negative 3x, that whole negative 3x would disappear and it would just say y equals negative 2, which is why 0 for x, negative 2 for y is our y-intercept. I hope that video was helpful for this assignment. If you've got any questions, I encourage you to use their hints and watch the videos, but you can always email me as well if this is a bit confusing. Thanks for watching to the end. Keep up the great work.